You're listening to the Crystal Clarity Podcast.
Wow. So could it be simple to clear and recharge our stones? As a stone medicine practitioner and teacher for 15, 20 years or so, I know what students ask about and I know what I have asked about. And I get the question all the time, how do I clear and recharge my stones? When do I need to do it? Is there a simple way to do it? Is there a whole different recipe for every different stone? Or they'll say, I heard selenite clears all stones, but does it? Or one teacher said this and one teacher said this will not work. And today's episode 13, is actually all about taking all of that and finding something universal and simple that also takes us on this beautiful journey with the stones that can clear and recharge every stone every time. And in that process, also help us awaken our consciousness and have more effective kind of treatments going forward and more effective rituals with our stones going forward, because our stones are cleansed and recharged properly in ways that we ourselves would not even know how to do. So this episode is all about employing the help of one very special spiritual being to help us clear and recharge our stones. That's going to work for you every time, for every stone. So I'll see you inside episode 13. Well, I'm happy to have you back to the Crystal Clarity Podcast. My name is Sarah Thomas. Today is episode 13, and it's really nice to see you again. And like every episode, every episode so far, this episode is going to be brought to you by the Upper Clarity School of Stone Medicine, which is a place where we come together and learn more about stone medicine and crystal healing and how we can help our communities and move forward and heal and awaken with stones and really usher in a new age of crystal consciousness among healers and practitioners and vibrational medicine therapists and people who are also just the everyday medicine person of their household who bootstraps everything together with different modalities and also loves stones. Come to upperclarity.com to see if there is a crystal class that looks interesting to you. Okay, let's get started. Well, welcome back to episode 13, which is all about clearing and recharging your crystals. And this episode is meant to simplify your life and give you one way that you can clear and recharge crystals that will always work and that you can always come back to. And you know that my influence is heavenly Taoist. I've spent a lot of time in my life exploring how crystals were used in Chinese medicine and in the ancient past and all the way back to the shamanic roots of Chinese medicine. But then from there, it kind of spreads out across the world because those shamanic roots have a universality throughout cultures like Tibet and the Andean and the Native American cultures. And so something becomes the same the deeper that we get. And this method of clearing and recharging crystals is a beautiful reflection of that. It goes beyond a teaching from the Taoist culture and goes into the connection that we all have with the heart of this earth. And, you know, crystals store millions and billions of bits of information inside them. That is the nature of being crystalline. That's the nature of who they are. And it's not just binary information, it's non-binary information. It's that which goes beyond ones and zeros, things that the mind can't even track. And when we work with crystals, one way to really honor that and show them, because they're living beings, to show them that we understand that, is to take care of them in clearing and recharging them. And as a practitioner, I always clear and recharge my stones before I do any kind of treatment or practice with them, partly as a ritual that is creating relationship with them. To clear the stone is to release any information in the stone that's no longer needed. that's no longer needed from this moment forward into the future, from the now into future. And to recharge the stone is to give the stone any information or codes needed from now into the future. And, when we step up to that kind of definition of clearing and recharging, we realize that we have no idea what needs cleared or how to recharge the stone. There's millions and billions and billions and trillions, of bits of information inside these crystals. So how could we possibly know or try to discern, I want you to take this out and leave this in, or, I'm using this crystal for this intention, but I'm also using it for this larger intention. So how do I discern that and sort that out? I want to take this out and leave this in. And you quickly realize that you can't. You don't know what needs to be cleared, because you also don't know what the stone wants to hold on to, that it may be holding codes and records from its place of emergence in the earth. It may be holding on to something that is going to be needed in the future. And then to recharge it, like, how do we know exactly what's coming ahead? How do we know what our next patient or the next person that we work with or our next child is going to need? And because stones absorb, store, and transmit so much information, these guides, you could say, these spiritual allies around us, all of the non-ordinary worlds, spiritual guides, allies, ancestors, angelic forces, all of the beings around us, like the whole scope of the invisible world, when it sees that you're working with crystals, when they see that you're working with crystals, they realize that they have a place to impart information to you, and they have a place to impart codes to you. If they know that you're sleeping with crystals, right, or working with them in a grid by your nightstand or something, they might say, oh, well, this is the perfect place to give them the next download or the next step on their path, or simply frequency that can't even be, chunked down through the conscious mind. So when they see that you're working with them, that's the cool thing about crystals, is that the information will be imparted to them by higher dimensional beings. And one of the great quotes from Gahong, which is one of the stone medicine practitioners of the ancient past out of China — can we even stop staring at this crystal? It's really hard. Is his quote was that stones are the laboratory of all possibility. Stones are the laboratory of all possibility. What that means is that all possibility, which is the Tao, the full rainbow, all possibility, this is the oneness, that the oneness looks at crystals and stones and says, this is my laboratory. This is where I get to play. This is my petri dish. This is my chemistry set. This is how I can impart information and speak to that world. It's the laboratory for all possibility. That means that millions and billions of bits of codes and frequency and information that we don't even understand could be inside these stones. And again, as practitioners, we want to honor the fact that this is who they are. And the clearing and recharging process really does that. And it cultivates relationship between us and the stones. So there's one way to clear and recharge stones that, like I said, is universal. It moves beyond any one culture. And that is to consider deeply. Stones feel it is so important to speak about origins, to speak about their origins, to look back to their place of emergence, where they emerge from the darkness to take this sacred journey of evolution, quite like we do, and evolve, you could say, from darkness into the light. And they want us to look back to their origins, their place of emergence. And what is the origin or place of emergence of all stones? This light is getting super bright behind me right now. It wasn't when I started. The place of emergence of all stones is the earth. She is their mother. This is where these crystals come from. Okay, meteorites aside, all stones come from the earth. Maybe even some meteorites come from the earth, and we don't actually realize that yet, but all stones come from the earth. She is truly their mother. And to clear and recharge them, we want to take them back to their place of origin. We want to take them back to their place of emergence. And we want to kind of like open that holographic field so that they can have an exchange with their mother. Because the spirit of the earth is a higher dimensional being. She is truly a living spirit. She lives on a higher dimensional plane than us. You can call it a fifth dimensional plane. She's in a whole different space than us. And if anybody's going to be able to sort and discern what is inside this crystal and what can be cleared at this point or what can be added at this point, it's going to be her. So a long time ago, I realized that I would stop trying to discern. And I get these questions all the time from students. Well, how do I leave this in and leave that out? Or I'm still using it for this, but I need to clear it of that. And I want to use this for a patient or somebody else, but it's actually my crystal. So how do I sort all this out? I learned that there's never going to be answers to this. There's too many codes inside these stones. So you have to give it to a higher vibrational frequency. And so the way to clear and recharge any stone is to bring it back to the spirit of the earth, to bring it back to the living spirit of the earth and ask her to take care of it. And this clear and recharge method with the earth opens up your relationship with your stones in such a beautiful way, an intimate way. And it opens up your relationship with the earth with such a beautiful and intimate way too, because you have to come to her with the crystals and ask. And this becomes a prayer field. You get to ask her to clear the stones of anything that they are holding on to that will no longer serve going forward. And you get to ask her to upload these stones with any codes or consciousness or frequency that will be needed going forward. And both of these intentions include all the things that you could never know, see, or name. You're truly engaging with the mystery and you're giving the process to a higher dimensional consciousness. So that is how I see miracles happen with my stones. And I love it too, because, when we engage with the mystery, it's like we get to surrender. We get to say, you know what, you're right. How would I ever possibly know all the millions and billions of codes inside these stones and what needs to go and what could be left for the future? And so we get to surrender. And that's the coolest thing about coming up to the mystery or the Divine Mother, like the earth. So how does it work practically? You simply come to the earth in a place that feels like it has chi and life, a place that feels like it has a light. It might feel like it has a light behind it, right? Like there's some light in this place. There's some life in this place. You might find that there's like extra things growing there, or there's just a charged feeling in the air at that place. So you can find these tiny little power spots in your own yard. And often they're the places that you're just drawn to, or the places that you'll find your animals are just drawn to. And you can simply come to that place and you can place the crystals on the earth overnight. You leave them on the earth overnight and you always say that prayer. Please clear these stones of anything that is no longer needed. And please upload or charge these stones with anything that will be needed going forward. All of this beyond my mind, my expectations, what is known for me. And you can leave an offering at this moment too, maybe some small flower, some small, like a piece of your hair, just a small thank you from your heart. And that process of leaving an offering too is also going to just open up this communication with the earth. And the earth herself will often talk to you as you're walking away. There'll be some messages coming in or a dream that you'll have that night. So all of this is so simple. But like simple and higher dimensional things, they're also profound. And they take us on this walk and they take us on this journey of cultivation. We become students of these processes. In the morning, your stones and crystals will be cleared and recharged by the earth herself. And there is no stone or crystal that lies outside the scope of this practice. There's no stone or crystal that cannot be taken care of by the earth. There's no process too complicated that she wouldn't understand or get the job done. And so in that way, it's so universal. Now you can do a couple different things here too. You can also build some kind of little portal or grid or opening at that place, maybe a ring of stones or a triangle of stones. You can create a little opening in the earth there that is the place that you clear and recharge. You can do that any way that you feel. Like you can create an altar there. Maybe it's an altar, not a ring or a grid. So you can bring some ritual practice to that place too, if you want. And that's your place to clear and recharge. And there's some specific techniques to do that, but you don't need to know the specific, we'll talk about specific techniques later, but specific techniques are always just an option anyways. So you can build some kind of little thing there, or you can just even have a little shell or something where you always leave the offering. It can be very simple. You can also work with silk. Silk is a as a cloth that just has resonance throughout time with stones and crystals. You can wrap the stones and crystals in silk before you put them down. White silk is really powerful to use. So is red silk. You can kind of listen to how you want to do that. It's just another way to create this ritual and see what you feel. And it kind of protects the stones and it honors them as well as they're going through the process, kind of bringing a layer of containment. You can also use something like organic hemp or organic cotton. And something also for you all is that if you don't have a place outside that's safe, if you live in an apartment or you live in the inner city or you live somewhere where you feel like your crystals could be stolen or disappear or something if you leave them outside, I have done this many times. You can have a house plant. I have a huge house plant right here behind me, just a big mother plant here, and you can cultivate the soil in the earth. I'm sorry, the soil in the pot to become the portal to the earth, to become, your little piece of earth inside your house. And you can connect that great fertile plant. Stones love plants. They love to be in, under the protection of the leaves of the plant and in the soil. You can create that as your clearing and recharging plant. And you can actually connect the soil in the pot with any kind of great bridge stone or connecting stone to the earth, such as kyanite is a great bridge stone. You could put a couple kyanites in there to say you're a representation of the earth. You're asking the earth to come up in the plant. You're asking the earth to come up and be present in that plant. So that can be your space, your safe space for clearing and recharging. Piece of quartz can also be a great bridge or connector to say, I'm linking this plant to the earth and calling the earth up through this plant. So that's a safe way to do it inside. And you'll always have your crystals cleared and recharged the next day. So that is the simplest way to clear and recharge stones and crystals, that goes beyond what you know and goes beyond what you think is possible and goes beyond our limited understanding of what's happening and what we need and what's coming next. The process is something that will take you on a journey of relationship with the stones and with the earth, just by giving them back to their mother to have a sleepover with their mother overnight. And relationship is the great activator. And that relationship is not only such a great activator, but it will cultivate you in your path with the stones. So you'll get more communications, more connections, more discoveries, because you took that journey and walked up to that place in the earth or that sacred plant and asked the spirit of the earth herself to come up and do the clearing and recharging. So that is the most universal, simple way to clear and recharge your stones. And thank you so much for coming to episode 13. Take care.